Hello friends, in this video we are going to look at text area component of the AWT. So here we will look at appending string in a new line to the text area control. We will also see how to insert a text at mouse cursor location. So we will implement action listener for the button, then we will also implement MouseListener in this AWT Text Area Control demo. So this video assumes that a frame window is already created. So you can watch the video to know how to create a frame window. Java AWT Text Area Component. With Java AWT text field, we can type only one line of text. So that's what that control is meant for. Text field, you can take, you can type one line of text. For example, taking a username and password in two text field. So there you will type one line of text. The text area component is the solution to display multi-line of text. So you can type an entire document inside a text area. So the text area component accepts a tab, new line character. By pressing the enter key, you can start typing in a new line. So you can type your paragraph inside the text area, and even you can write an entire article inside the text area component. So the size is defined by the row and columns. So when you are creating text area, you can specify number of rows and number of columns in the constructor itself. Say for example, when you pass 3 to the row, the text area will be created to show 3 rows. And if you type 80 for the column, then text area will show 80 columns. So if the text exceeds 80 character width, then the new word appears in the second line. So the word also automatically wrapped when a number of rows exceeds. So in this example, we are taking a 3 row 80 column, right? So when you are typing the document and when a row exceeds 3, it will automatically display a vertical scroll bar towards right. However, one can specify whether they want to display the scroll bar or not, but the default behavior is when the text exceeds number of rows defined for the text area, then horizontal, the vertical scroll bar will be presented. Alright, now let us talk about the example that we are going to create here in this demo video. So that's the text area. You can see that it is occupying almost 90% of the frame window. You can also see there is a scroll bar towards the right, but it is not yet enabled because the text area is empty right now. So this text field is to add a text string dynamically to the text area control. You can type the text here, then click the add text button to append that text towards the end of the text area component. So here while we are appending, we add the content to a new line. So every time you click add text, whatever text that is present in the text to add text field will get added to the text area in a new line. So this one is to add the text at mouse cursor location. So user should type the text in text to add text field. Then they should place a check mark in the left click to insert. So when that is in checked state, wherever you click in the text area using your mouse pointer and left mouse button, the text in text to add get added to the text area component. Alright, now let us go to Eclipse and start implementing this. This is our frame window. So the frame window displays like this. First let us add class members. So you can see that text area is from Java.AWT package. Then we are importing the text field also. So these are all the two members. So you know that this text area is occupying the 90%. Then text field we are providing below that. So if you remember the screenshot in the PowerPoint, so these two components are required for the example. So we declared it here at class level. Next, inside the constructor, we will add the required controls. Alright, first we are creating a panel from Java.AWT package. So after this, we are setting a flow layout for this AWT panel. So whatever you add to the panel, that will be managed by the flow layout manager. Next, we create a text field. This text field is to get user input. So user will type the input here, then they will click on this add button. Next, we are adding these two controls. That means the txt input, that means the text field and button, to our control panel. This control panel is the panel. After that, we are creating the text area also. So here, if you see, we are not specifying the row and column. If you want to see the other flavors here, so in the constructor itself, you are seeing here rows and columns, right? That defines how many rows and how many columns. But we are going to add this text area in the center part of the border layout. So the layout manager, the border layout manager will resize the text area, and that resize depends on the height and width of the frame window. So we no need to specify width and height here because it will be managed by the layout manager, border layout manager. So we are going to add this text area to the center of the border layout manager that you will see soon. Now we will add these components to our frame window. So if you see here, the text field as well as the button, which was already added to the control panel, which is the instance of java.awt.panel. So there are three controls here: text field, button, and text area. So now we are adding the text area to the border layout center. Then control panel, we are adding it towards the south. So now it's time to execute and see how it looks. And if you see, this is the text area which is added towards the center of the panel, and in the bottom panel, that means in the border layout.south, so this is the south area, we added a panel, and that panel contains a text field and a button. Now first let us look at how this works. So likewise, you can, once you hit enter, it goes to the next line and you can start typing your text. Okay, now let me copy paste the content and look at here. At present there is no scroll bar. Once it exceeds the width, now this time it will exceed. Why? Because we have only the two rows of empty space, and if I paste now, you can see there is a scroll bar that get added. Now you can scroll the content. Let me add some more text, and you can scroll the content using the up arrow or down arrow. So just place your mouse cursor, then click and hold the left mouse button, so the content will get scrolled. So now I am placing the mouse cursor towards the bottom arrow, and I am clicking the left mouse button and holding it. The same way, you can place your mouse cursor here, hold down the left mouse button, then drag your mouse upward or downward to scroll through the document content. Alright, now let us close this video and proceed with the demo. Alright, in the demo, in the slide, we saw that when you type text here, some text, and click add text, the content should get added here. And if I click add text once again, it should add in the next line. Now we will implement that. To implement that, we need action listener. Why? Because the adding the text that is tied to the action of clicking this button. So when you click this button, the content should be read from this text box, then the text field, then it should add it to the text area. So the button add text, we need to implement action listener. So it placed a code here to implement the action listener. So action listener is ready, and it provided a action performed method. Before we write content here, we will register our button with the action listener. you can see the relation here. Button is created here, then the button was added to the control panel, which is a panel, and that panel is added to the frame Windows south position. Here we are registering this button with our action listener. So we made a call to add action listener and we are passing this. Then we are setting the action command also for this Java AWT button. So the action command is add. Now we will implement the add functionality here. First we are getting the action command. So the set action command for that button was add. So there is only one button. So this get action command will return the command string as add. So this check is not required, as in our example we are using only one button. But if there are multiple buttons, you can act based on the return value. So if we have something called remove, then you will be setting a different action command for it. So based on this action command, we will act on it. Next, we declare a local variable input text. This is to read content from the text field here, txt input. So this is where user will type their input. All right. Next here we form a switch case. So the command will get us the action command. So we are forming a switch based on this CMD. Then in the case we are checking that label add. So here is the key part. So here what we are doing, first we are getting the text input. So this will give you the user typed information. Then this /r/n is to add a new line character to the content. Then we are adding it to the text area. So once it is added, whatever user type or user clicks the add new button, those content will display in a new line character. Alright, now we will execute this and see how the add new button works. So it added a text. Since we have /r/n, when I add a next content, it automatically get added to the next line. And if you want to type, you can manually type also. Alright, now we will add a checkbox. Then we will try to insert text at a given location. And if you see what function we are going to implement, you can type temp text here. Then you will place a check mark here in the checkbox which we are going to implement now. And when you place click a mouse cursor here, the text will be inserted at the cursor location. Alright, now we will see how to implement that. So this action performed is for the button, which just now we saw that. Now what we are going to implement is at the mouse cursor location we want to insert the text which is entered here in the same input field, text input field. So we need MouseListener from java.awt.event. So because we want to track the mouse click. So when user clicks the mouse, we want to insert a text into the text area. So we are implementing MouseListener from java.awt.event package. So now let us click on add unimplemented methods in Eclipse. Save the content. And if you see, it provided multiple overrides. So we don't need everything. We are going to implement our code in mouse clicked. So I'm just showing you what are all the events you can handle here. So there is a mouse clicked, pressed, released, entered and exited. But here we want to take a action on mouse clicked. So this is where we are going to implement our code change. Now we will declare the checkbox type as a member. Why? Because we want to create that in constructor, and we want to access it in the event handler for the mouse. So we want to check whether user placed a check mark. Okay, the checkbox is declared. Now we will create it. So here is where we are creating and adding control. We will create our checkbox here. We need to add our checkbox to the control panel, right? So this is the perfect insertion point. Then in the control panel, if you see here in the control panel, now we added our chk insert also. Now the bottom panel of our frame window contains 3 controls. One is the input, and another one is the text add, and the third one is the button add. But in our example, this insert is at the last one, so we will remove it because it should come next to the button add. So we want to present it as a text field first, then button as a third field, because flow layout arranges the control from left to right, so we want to see it as a third control. Now let us check once. So alright, so it comes next to add text. Previously we placed it here, right? So if you see the difference, it maintains that order in which we are adding it to. So here it is coming in the left. So the perfect place for that component is next to the add button. So this is the 2 line of text we inserted here at our code snippet 2. So our mouse listeners are ready. Now remember here, the mouse action takes place inside the text area, right? We will have some text and we will type some text here in the text field. Then you will click mouse in the text area, so that way you will insert a text. So I'll type some text here, ASC, and if I click here, so the mouse click happens inside this text area. So this is where we click, right? This means the text area should register with the mouse click action. So what we will do, we will register the listener with this text area. So we are registering the text area with mouse listener. So the function we are calling is add mouse listener. Alright, so we implemented the mouse listener interface. I mean, we provided the skeleton code for all the interface method. We registered our text area with mouse listener also. Now we will go to mouse clicked method and we will start implementing the now we will start implementing the mouse click action. Here if you see, we are using the mouse event e.get button. This button will give you button 1, button 2, button 3. So button 1 is left button, button 2 is the middle button, and button 3 is the right mouse button. So e.get button will give that constant, integer constant. If I place my cursor, you can see that's the integer. So here we are checking e.get button equal to mouse event dot button. That means we are checking whether user clicked the left mouse button. That means the first mouse button in your mouse from left to right. So left click we are checking here. Then we are making use of the chk insert. So I just highlighted it. You can go back and see. Here we added it as part of a sample snippet 8, right? First we created it, then we added it to the control panel and we declared it as a member. Since we need the chk insert, that's why we declared it as a class member, then created the component inside the constructor. We added it to the control panel. Here we are making use of that chk insert dot get state equal to true. That means we are checking two conditions to take the necessary action here. I mean, before inserting the text from text field to text area, we are checking whether user clicked the left mouse button, and at the same time we are checking whether chk insert is in the checked state. So when these two conditions met, that means user clicked the left mouse button and they placed a check mark in the left click to insert checkbox. So that's the checkbox, right? So if those both conditions met, then we are taking the text from the txt input. And if you see here, we are using the get caret position in our text area. So the get caret position method of AWT text area component will give you the position in the string. So if you see here, let us say I'm clicking my cursor here. So it is just before so the position will be calculated based on the number of character, and the position will be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, fifth position. So that's what this get caret position will give. It tells where the current caret location inside the text area. So we have that position. After that, we are making call to the insert function of text area. So we provide our input text and we provide the position also, telling that where we want to insert the text. All right, now so we implemented our mouse click event. Now we will perform a test run. We will just copy paste the content. And if you see now, if I click mouse button, nothing happens. So now I can freely click wherever I want, nothing happens. But because the click will be handled once I place a check mark here. Now let me place a check mark and let me place cursor here, and you can see that inserted text is appearing. So it depends where exactly I am placing my mouse cursor. Let me provide some space so that we can easily see. Okay. So the text is inserted, right? So that's the use of insert function. That's all here in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.